welcome to our show. Our guests today are Zakiyyah G.E. Capehart and Bryant Bolling. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So at the last time of our visit, Zakiyyah, you told us of your journey from professional nurse to book author, and from New York to California, and the start of your journey with Bryant.
Yes.
Today we're going to learn about Bryant and his journey, as well as both of your artistic evolution. And welcome.
Oh, thank you for having us.
All right, we're going to start with you, Bryant. Tell us a little bit about your life pre-Zakiyyah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and I went to Morgan State University, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. There I received my undergraduate degree in music education and my master's degree in musicology. And once I graduated with my master's, I decided to move to New York. But before I moved to New York, while I was in Baltimore, I was commissioned by the Baltimore City Health Department to write and direct a rap musical on HIV and AIDS. And it was called A Time for Life, We're Protecting Ourselves Against AIDS. And this was a very successful production. We performed it in front of 250,000 young people within a 4-year period. And we got funding from the Baltimore City Health Department, the State AIDS Administration, several other organizations funded us to do this work. And it was very successful. And once I did that, I finished that work, I moved to New York. And there in New York, I wanted to continue with the AIDS project, but a lot of the agencies didn't have the funding for it. But they did have funding to hire me as a project coordinator. So I worked in New York when I first got there as a project coordinator for an AIDS organization, working in the prison system, working with HIV positive inmates who were coming back to the community. Wow. And there in New York, that's where I met Zakiyyah. And that's how we got connected.
Okay. Well, I won't ask what attracted you to her, because it's obvious. And her to you.
Okay.
But tell me, what factors contributed to both of your mutual decision to move to the West?
You would like to handle that?
Well, okay, I can.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, so we were, wanting to have other experiences and, other lands. And so we thought California could be the place. We were tired of the extremely cold winters in the wintertime and the extremely hot summers. And so that was pretty much the reason for leaving New York. We wanted something different. And so we drove across country in a 15-foot truck with all of our belongings, and we made our journey to San Francisco. It's where we landed, and we were in San Francisco for about 3 years before we moved to Oakland.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm from New York,
Okay.
so I do understand the move.
All right.
I came out here at Christmas time of '69,
Oh, okay.
and it was sunny, 70 degrees.
Uh-huh.
I took my round trip ticket right back in there, cashed it in. I haven't not left.
All right, that's something.
The weather kept me here, among other things.
Well, that's interesting. Christmas time. We came at Christmas time too. The
Right.
18th of December is when we got to San Francisco
Right.
in 2002.
I imagine a lot of people leave New York around Christmas time.
I guess, yeah, it's so cold, yeah.
Okay, so how did you two get started on your current artistic track, both individually and as a couple?
Well, I was performing in Baltimore, in New York, as well as here. I always had a jazz ensemble, and I called my group the Bryant Bolling Creative Art Ensemble, which was a 7-piece jazz ensemble back in New York and in Baltimore. But I was able to still continue to work as a quartet and as a trio. So I was working here in the Bay Area, and I got a gig at the 57th Street Gallery, which was a gallery on Telegraph at the time. And they hired my band to perform there. And I said, well, this would be a great opportunity for me to have Zakiyyah. I mean, I've always been asking her to come and join me to do something poetic with my band, you know? And she was saying, well, I'm working, I don't have the time, or whatever, whatever. I think it was a confident thing, maybe. I'm not sure. But she finally came around, and she finally accepted the offer to perform with my group. And we had a very successful performance that night. It was pouring down raining, wasn't it? Well, I mean, it was pouring down raining, but we had a packed house. And people came out all over from Sacramento, all over, to hear the performance. And people was very pleased. And so from there, we continued to work and develop our skills together. We created a group that we do, her and I, called ToBeNu Cultural Gatherers. And we perform at different spiritual communities and different organizations for Black History Month and things of that sort.
And what instrument do you play, Bryant?
My forte is singing. I'm a vocalist, but I do play piano. I do also write music, and I direct, and I also do musical theater, where I direct musical theater as well.
Excellent, excellent.
So I just want to say that it wasn't a confidence thing.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was performing in New York, and I loved the stage. And so it was really what you said. The other thing I wanted to add is that I was tired a lot as a nurse, because the profession is very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was when I made my debut with Bryant's quartet.
Oh, okay.
And that was absolutely wonderful.
Excellent. So what were some of the challenges you faced, both as a couple and as artists?
Well, some of the challenges that we faced was getting the funding that we want to do some of our projects. But we were successful throughout the years, but sometimes we were not successful. So we had to continue to do the research for funding sources and to also continue to write proposals every chance we could in order to keep our organization funded. That was some of the things that was challenging. Also was challenging was just agreeing on certain things. You know, I might want to do it this way, and she might want to do it a different way, you know. But because I'm the artistic director of the group, I have the final word in how we go about doing things, you know. But I'm very fair with her, and so far we've been able to, you know, work it out and continue to perform. And we look forward to some of the future performances we have coming up in the future. So it's been a good thing for us, you know.
Yeah, it absolutely has been. Yeah, I want to say that, yeah, Bryant is very fair. And even though he's the artistic director and has a final word, that's fine with me. And it's worked out well, because I know that a lot of couples can't work together. And we are able to work together. He's able to suggest things to me, you know, that he thinks should happen in terms of my poetry sometimes. And I with him, with his songs, you know, he's been able, I can fill in sometimes and say, oh, I think maybe this sounds better, and he can do the same thing. So we are able to work together really well in terms of, you know, our artistically. Personally, I can't think of, I was trying to think of something that, you know, I can't really think of anything that's a problem, you know, in terms of us as a couple. I'm sure there probably is, but nothing that really looms out at me at the moment. But we're able to resolve whatever it might be. One of the things that we decided when we met was that we didn't want to be the crazy couples arguing on the streets and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So if we had a disagreement, which we do sometimes, that we decided on a word or a sentence or whatever that would resolve it. And what we decided on, that we would say, I surrender. Either he would say it or I would say it. And upon saying it, then everything had to stop.
Yeah, you have to stop, at least for 2 or 3 minutes, no one couldn't say anything. If I say I surrender, we have to be quiet for 2 or 3 minutes. And that helped a lot because a lot of times you're in a heated argument and you want to get your point across, but if you say I surrender, then you're just going to have to just chill and just wait until you cool off, and then we can come back to the conversation. And that has helped tremendously in our relationship.
It has. It really does, because we honor that, you know.
I like that. It's like waving the white flag.
Right, it's like waving a white flag,
let's,
you know.
let's talk about this in another way.
Right.
So how long have you guys been together?
25 years. I
Yeah,
think.
it's going on our 25th year.
Wow.
All right.
That's a great.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to share about the journey that you're on? Because it's obviously continued. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up next for you.
I would like to start with that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so as you know, I'm an author, and the book that I wrote is Ghana on My Mind. Well, so we decided that we wanted to make a production, to create a production around my book. And I selected 13 of the songs and poems from my book, and Bryant wrote 13 songs to complement the songs, the stories and poems from my book. And so that is, I think he had written 10, but now it's 13. So we're ready to, we've been performing it, actually. We've been in rehearsals for it because we'd like to take it around, of course, first of all, in Oakland and Berkeley, you know, in this area. And then we want to take it on the road. So, yeah.
And for our audience, can you just tell us a little bit more or remind us about your book?
Okay, so yes, my book is entitled Ghana on My Mind, Poetic Reflections on Journeying to the Motherland. And it's a book that I wrote when I returned from Ghana, West Africa. Back in 2018 is when I traveled there with a group of other poets. And we are the West Oakland to West Africa International Poetry Exchange. So our short name is WOTAWA.
WOTAWA. Okay.
So that is how the book came about. I had actually not planned on writing a book, but that is what happened when I got back. I kept having these dreams about Africa, you know, about Ghana and the people and my experiences every night. It was amazing. And I kept thinking, should I be writing this down? And one day, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Yes, you should be writing this down.
Right. This is a book.
Yes, it's a book. And so that's how that happened. Yeah, so that is a wonderful, has been a wonderful opportunity.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, it's been an honor for me to actually collaborate with her and to write music to her poetry and her short stories. So we are very pleased with our efforts so far. We will be highlighting a couple of the songs and the poems from her book on the second half of this presentation. So your audience will get a chance to hear some of the music and some of the poetry that we have collaborated to do together.
Right.
I just want to mention also, I'm currently receiving a grant from the Whippoorwill Arts Foundation, which is a Bay Area foundation that supports arts and musicians who particularly play the blues and early jazz. And each month they give us a concert wherein we do a concert somewhere in the Bay Area. So I'm scheduled to do a performance out here in Berkeley coming up on the 19th, which is next week sometime, next Friday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Berkeley Senior Center. And it's going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's open to the public, so if anyone out there care to come and join us on the 19th of April at Berkeley Senior Center, that's on Hearst Avenue, I believe.
I was about to say, Berkeley has several senior centers, so
Right.
we have to be specific here.
Right, the one on Hearst Avenue.
Hearst Avenue, all right.
Right, is the one we're going to. And I got a great group of musicians working with me, so I'm looking forward to the concert. If you're available, come on out and check us out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
So, you know, I really admire your ability to work together as artists and to be together. And I'm wondering, did it have anything to do with the fact that y'all were both from New York? Or, I mean, how is it that the two of you got together? I'll put it that way.
Well, before I met Zakiyyah, I was actually wanting to connect with a partner, you know, and the ladies that I was meeting when I was living in Harlem at the time wasn't on the caliber of women that I really wanted to be with. Mm-hmm. So I told myself, well, hey, in order to get the queen that you want, you're just gonna have to just back up and just sustain and just go on a fast and just pray and meditate for her, you know? Okay. And that's what I did. For 6 months, I stopped dating, and I just prayed and meditated that the Creator would send someone my way, you know? All right. And that's what happened. We met, and as soon as we met, our first meeting was love at first sight. We looked at each other and I knew that this woman was going to be my wife. Wow. And vice versa. You know, we looked at each other and, you know, the stars just went everywhere, you know, so. Wow. So it was a blessing, you know, and I like to share that stories with people because, you know, some people might have that same notion that they want someone in their life and they don't know how to get that person there. You know, it takes a lot of mental, spiritual, and prayer type of work in order to create that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I truly believe in prayer is working, and I'm so glad that it worked on our behalf to bring us together. You know?
Excellent. Yes, now, Zakiyyah, were you looking for someone when you found Bryant, or did he just fall in there?
I actually wasn't looking for anyone. I was actually with someone.
Oh, that's a hell of a part of the story. We didn't get that part. We're going to go ahead.
Yeah. So what happened is I was trying to get out of the relationship, though. And a mutual friend of ours, told me that her friend was doing a Black History Month show that day in the building that they worked in. And I also worked in that building that day because I was temping for a company. And so I was working in that building. So I said, Black History Month show? She says at lunchtime. I said, I can go then, you know. So I had planned on going to see his show. Anyway, as it turned out, you know, my computer was down all morning. I didn't get any work done. So I had to forego, you know, going to get some work done. But she saw me leaving the cafeteria, taking food up to my office, and she was like, Zakiyyah, you're supposed to be in the, you know, watching Bryant's show. And I was like, I got work to do, girl.
And it was Bryant. You just didn't even know what the work was.
So she kept badgering me. So she was like, Zakiyyah. I was like, okay, Deborah, I'm going to go right now and meet your friend or see his show or whatever I'm supposed to be doing here. And so when I went in, the show was actually over. And people were congratulating him. And so I waited so I could introduce myself so that she would get off my back. Anyhow, so and when he finished talking to the people he were talking to, then he came over and introduced himself, and I introduced myself. And I want to tell you that as I was introducing myself, I felt lightning. I felt I had never experienced that before, but I felt these sparks. I was like, what is that? Right. And I wanted to say something to him, but I was like, girl, this man's going to think you're crazy. Anyway, so I didn't say anything, but I went back to my office and I called my friend Deborah, and I said, Deborah, you'll never believe just what happened. And when I told her, she said, Zakiyyah, Bryant just called me and he told me the same thing.
Wow.
So we said, okay, you know, we must be soulmates.
You must be. And I hope y'all send thank you cards to Deborah every year on the anniversary.
We do. Thanks, Deborah. And as a matter of fact, before I had a chance to meet Zakiyyah, I actually asked Deborah, because Deborah was a nice lady that lived in, a nice married lady that lived in my community. And she had a nice way about her. And I said, well, you know, Deborah's this way. I'm sure her friends are probably on the same caliber, you know. So that's why I asked her, Deborah, can you introduce me to one of your friends? I'm lonely, you know. And she said, yeah, I will, you know. So that's how that came about, you know.
Wow, that is an amazing story. So we are going to hear, after this conversation we're having, we're going to hear you, the two of you, perform. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
We plan to do.
That's the latest work, right? Your book and the music that you put it to.
Right, we're going to do a couple other songs that are not from her book as
Okay.
well. You know.
Okay, great. We're really looking forward to it.
Okay.
Right.
So anything else you want to share before we go? I know I said that before, but I found out a little bit more. So let's see. I did want to ask Zakiyyah a little bit about her experience at KPFA, because how she and I know each other is from the apprenticeship program
That's
at
right.
KPFA.
Yes, First Voice Media
First Voice Media Apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship program. Yeah, wonderful program. And that's how Joy and I met. And you were actually my first teacher there. Yeah, wonderful class. Oh my God. What was the name of your class again?
If I had to guess, it would be
It was communications.
Communication.
Right.
How do we communicate with each other in difficult situations and stuff
Yeah.
like that? So that's from my AVP training, Alternative to Violence program.
Okay.
So I brought that to the class.
Okay.
It's what we start out. We started out with that.
That's right.
That
we
how do
did.
you cross the bridge of differences? Because when you're producing and you're artistic and you have all these ideas and you want your to be your way, because everything we did at the apprenticeship was a team. No
That's
one
right.
worked alone.
That's
Everyone
right.
had a team. So you had to learn how to talk and be with a team. And
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
we spent time doing.
And that was important to have that communications class first.
Yes.
Because there were 10 of us, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
and all 10 personalities,
Right.
and there were some clashes.
Yes.
But that got us through, and we got to know each other a little better and appreciate each other a little better. And that was really, really good and really, really important. So yeah, the apprenticeship program was and is an awesome program. And I encourage those of you out there that are interested in, broadcasting, interested in radio, and hearing your voice, speak for your community and have your community come out and speak for themselves. It's a wonderful program to get trained in and to experience.
Absolutely. And I teach kids, and I'm always trying to push the radio, and they're like, radio? What is radio? They're not even sure what that is. Maybe in the car. But then I changed my word to podcast.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, they know podcast.
They know
I
that.
said, okay, well, that's what radio is. But, so it's important that you use all forms of communication.
That's right.
Using whatever talents you have. And y'all put it together and came up with a style, probably, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, our creative style for ToBeNu Cultural Gatherers.
All right. Very good. I am so excited to be able to hear what you've done, what you put together. I wanted to give you an opportunity just for a second or two to talk about what you're going to share with us.
Okay, we're going to start off with a song that was written by Mongo Santa Maria. It was recorded by John Coltrane, and several other performers recorded this song. It's called Afro Blue.
Yes, I know the
And
song.
Zakiyyah wrote a beautiful poem called The Drum Beat. So it talks about the history of our people and our relationship to Africa. Quiet as is kept, we as African people here in America are connected to the people there on the continent of Africa. So we need to continue to acknowledge that, and to make those connections a reality as much as we can,
Absolutely, and that's what Wotawa is doing, bridging that gap. The poetic group that I belong to. So I would like to also say that my poem, The Drum Beat, was the first poem that I wrote upon arriving in San Francisco. And the reason was because the nursing facility that I was working at knew that my husband was a jazz musician, and I guess knew something about the fact that I'm a poet, and asked if we would plan and execute their Black History Month for that program for that year. And so we agreed. And I didn't have a poem, but I said, oh, I better write a poem. And that's the poem that I wrote, The Drum Beat.
Excellent, excellent. So one of the things that I would like to share, I went to South Africa to the United Nations Conference Against Racism.
That's right.
Okay.
And that shock you felt before when you met Brian, I felt that in Africa.
Oh,
When
good.
I landed there, there was some magical electricity. It felt like I was where I should be. You know what I mean? Like I had been lost all the time. And I really, really discovered a lot about myself and my family in Africa. So I want to thank you both. We are going to wrap this up so y'all can get it together and perform.
Okay.
Right,
We're
thank
really
you.
looking forward to it.
Well, Joy, thank you for having us out today.
Thank you for doing it. And tell me your name of the group again, one more time.
ToBeNu
Cultural Gatherers.
ToBeNu Cultural Gathering. I love the sound of it. That's musical just in itself, right? All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All
I
right.
appreciate you both showing up here, and I love the colors you both have on.
Thank
It's
you.
really
you,
nice.
Joy.
Very African,
Right.
can I say?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we
you
wanted-
can
yeah,
absolutely say.
Yeah, we decided to bring something cultural to the presentation today.
Yes.
You know, instead of, westernized clothes, we could have done that. But, every opportunity we can, let's be colorful. Let's be cultural as
Absolutely.
we can.
And which is the foundation of culture in this country. Culture in this country came from Africans.
That's right.
Right.
You think not just jazz, not just rock and roll, but even the way we socialize and enjoy life, even though it's hard,
Right.
it can be hardship, we've managed to survive. And right now I'm working on succulents. Are you familiar with succulents?
Well, I not really.
Well, succulents are plants that don't need a lot. but
Like
they
cactus?
grow like cactus,
Right,
so I am
like
familiar.
aloe vera,
Right.
and they remind me of African Americans in this country.
Ah.
I really do. When you think about it, we was given very little or nothing, but we still strive and survive.
Well,
and y'all are perfect examples of that.
And that's a beautiful and wonderful analogy, Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing yourselves with us today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us.